day. I was asking like whether or not we will be on TikTok doing something, but I think you're still thinking and deliberating about that option. But hope we see you there at the same time. But I think scams, and then you talk about cybersecurity, which is the core. And I think the summary of it is that I think trust needs to be embedded in every different layers of how the ministry or everyone is trying to tackle about, like, technology adoption and stuff like that. And it's really, really good to hear that the Ministry of Digital, your team, and all the relevant stakeholders are actually looking at it, not just from the advantages of it, but also the risks that comes with it, because it would be foolish to not acknowledge that it comes with risks and how do we deal with it, right? And all of this. So I think maybe just easing into the next question, right? So Minister, you did mention about like risk, concerns and everything, but how is the government addressing like, very particular issues like data privacy, misinformation, cyber threats? I know you mentioned about some bills, some standards that's being worked on. Were there anything else that you would like to elaborate on?
We, at this point in time, if we look at the key focus areas of the ministry, as I said earlier, we are looking at infrastructure. So we have 5G, we have next generation technology that is also something that we'll pivot to very soon. In addition to that, we have got data. So we're looking at how we can establish the data commission. The data commission will hopefully consist of personalities who are able to look at strategies in terms of digitizing data that we have. So I've spoken to many people who are in the know about this, and there's so much that they have to contribute into the processes that are involved. And they keep saying to me that if you get it right from the start, that's going to it's going to help in the sense that you digitize data, prepare the data that you're subsequently be used in solutions, and there's a need for strategy to look at that. There's also the need for us to look at how we can pivot to cloud, so that you're able to look at using new technology for digital solutions. And it is here that we need to start thinking of institutions that, or in the ministry itself or for the country, that's going to be able to continuously think about what needs to be done next. So the Data Commission is a commission that will deal with how we digitize data, how we store data, how we share data, how we look at levels of security. In terms of data, there's some data that we can pivot, that some data that's more important, more secure, in which more security is needed as compared to some other data, national security, so different considerations. They're also going to have to look at subsequently the question of monetizing data. And in all of this, you must also understand that there needs to be some level of enforcement. So in the event you have all these standards, you have all these regulations, provisions, you need a group of people that can receive complaints about where problems are, and then they can do something about it. So you really need resources for that. We currently don't have that in this country. The data committee has been set up through the Data Sharing Act. That's something that we are going to develop into the Data Commission. So I think that's one key area that we are looking to build on. And in the Commission, there's also the need for us to be able to get a group of people who can think about where we expect things to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So next generation technology becomes key. And that's one of the reasons why we hold this event, which is the Malaysia Digital Accelerator Program. And every year we try and showcase new technology. We speak about new technology. We invited futurists over to tell us what they think problems of the future are going to be. Likewise, in the Commission, hopefully we can get people who will be able to deal with that. The second key area that we are looking at is GovTech. Now, we want to be in a position where we are able to deliver government services to the people for less cost, a lot more convenience, efficiency. In order for us to do that, there's a need for resources. There's also a need for us to build that institution, that agency that will actually just focus on every single government agency, federal, state, local government, look at the data that we have through the data commission digitization process, how we can use that data, priority areas, which services we need to get on to our platform first, and how we can focus on those areas. So again, other countries have marched ahead a lot faster. I've been asked many times, but my position is that nevertheless we need to get it done. So I'm pleased to say that the Prime Minister in his speech in Parliament in July, RMK 13, made express mention of that, and I hope that GovTech will actually be up and running by the first quarter of next year. If we can launch it this year, then we can see things move. Again, there's a lot to be done. When you look at government data, how you're going to translate it into services, and then services to the people, again, layers of security, there's a lot of thinking. Building an agency that's institutionalized so that it's sustainable. You know that it's going to be an agency that will remain and will continue to improve as you go along. That is something that we really need to think about. So in all of this, there's another big area that we need to start thinking about. We have this new world of AI, which means that if you have the data that is digitized, you have what you call compute power, you are going to be able to solve so many problems that you couldn't solve in the past. But that's with using new technology. You're going to have to acknowledge the fact that startups play a huge role in this. You're going to have to acknowledge the fact that you can solve so many more problems with the same amount of money, because the data that you're going to use for that purpose will expose other problems that you can solve as well. So there's going to be a whole need for us to think of how we build this new group of people that will be able to solve problems in a different way. So this is where I think innovation comes in. And to me, we've been speaking about what they call a government innovation center, which basically means that every single ministry will have to look at proposing problem statements in their ministries. And when they have problem statements, there will be a need for us to create a platform where the problem statements can be made public. And we can then invite suggestions from the industry, be they the SMEs or startups, anyone else, coming back to us to suggest, with the data that we have, the problem statement that we have crafted, how they can suggest solutions to it. So it's really a question of us looking at what you call co-creation, And ultimately, if we can go down that way, that line, we will be able to solve the solutions that the ministries have. I'll give you a simple example, and I said this many times. The problem of traffic from A to B. Ordinarily, if you have a traffic problem from A to B, today you'll probably just come up with, say, look, this is a problem, and then the usual processes will take place. You get the usual companies, they will come and they will propose, this is how we're going to resolve it, which is very traditional, and this is what it's going to cost. And in that process, you're going to find a lot of changes which result to prices going higher and ultimately delays and what have you not. And you go back to where you've been in the past. But with technology of today, if you're actually going to adopt that structure that I just mentioned, you create a problem statement, then you open it up to the public and you say to the startups, you come back and give us suggestions. What we see happening is this. They will come back and say, look, if you actually gave me that data, to solve traffic problem of A to B, I will also be able to, with that data, talk to you about how you can resolve flooding issues from A to B, parking issues from A to B, security issues from A to B, cleanliness issues from A to B. If you have the right technology and the your cameras are you're able to even look at roads, the quality of roads, cracks on the roads, areas that constantly, find potholes and other problems, and they can solve that. So you wanted to solve one problem, but with the data that you had and the innovation that exists today, people will come back and say to you, we can solve so many other problems. Today, how that happens is, and let's talk about what I just said. If we are going to solve a security problem, that's KDN. If you're going to solve a problem with a pothole, that's the housing and local government. If you're going to solve a traffic problem, that's transport. Yeah? So there are today, if that happens, every single ministry is going to be doing or offering or coming up with that statement and solving it individually. So you can imagine the replication of work, the duplicity of costs, and of course, the fact that when you do it in silos, then you come to a point where you have different solutions that stretch all over the place. And ultimately, you don't have data which talks about how it is one particular problem was solved using data that stretched across different ministries. Now, why am I giving you this background? That doesn't happen on its own. It doesn't happen with me just going to the ministry now and saying, look, let's just get it done. You have to build a structure that actually is able to think about how you're going to move this new direction, new way of doing things with the kind of data that we have, with the kind of compute power that we have, with the kind of expertise, with the kind of startups that we have, and ultimately with the kind of trust that we build around it, so that people actually say, yeah, this is what we need to do. And I think this is the purpose of the Ministry of Digital. Some people say that we step into the shoes of, or onto the turf of other ministries, but this is disruption, right? So we need to do it because I think at the end of the day, it's going to save us a lot of money. It's going to create services that are so much more efficient. Things are going to get done a lot faster. We're going to open up a lot more work to many different sectors because there'll be so many problem statements that need to be resolved. And I think ultimately that's what our